Joined here again by Democratic State Representative Kyle Mullica of Adams County. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You've been focused on some of RTD's struggles lately. How would you describe the current state of RTD and its leadership?
You know, I think that it's really disappointing, I think, is the number one word that comes to mind. And the community that I represent, you know, has been very vocal about that. When I was running for office, when I was elected to city council of the city that I represent at the legislators, that they've been very vocal about the disappointment and the shortcomings of RTD. And, you know, we've been seeing it over and over for years. And, yeah, I just want to see better.
RTD is preparing to go back to the public likely to ask for another tax increase in the next couple of years. Is that something you think your community is going to support?
I would seriously doubt it at this point. We've been paying for light rail up north since 2004, and we still have nothing to show for it. And that was a big thing that they've been talking about, is that, you know, they've been paying for something that they don't have. And then when they are getting ready to open up this commuter rail, they wanted to charge my community more for using it and putting it in a different fare zone. And the equity there was just completely lacking, and that's something that I went to RTD leadership about, and to their credit, they've been trying to work on it. But I think that the issue that I saw, the more I started working with them, was just the issues with the executive leadership there, and the lack of response, you know, to local elected leaders. I'm not quite sure why, as a state legislator, I had to go talk about legislation before we got something done, when this has been talked about for years from local communities.
You kind of went in and you shook the tree a little bit to get their attention, talking about the idea of maybe replacing their elected board with an appointed board?
So I think, I know that's been something that some of their members thought I was doing. That's not specifically something I was looking at. I think that there's a number of people at the Capitol that are looking at things, because it's not just my community that's unhappy with RTD right now. There's many communities out there that are unhappy, and there's many people under that dome that are unhappy. And so I think there's a lot of talk.
Did you bring up that idea with them?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. I think that there's other people that are probably talking about that idea. That was not specifically something that I was talking about. Mm-hmm. I was focused on that equity of their fares, and I went to them, and you know, just like I do with a lot of organizations when there's something going on in my community, I try to give them the opportunity to fix it. I say, here's the problem, here's your opportunity to fix it. If you can't figure out how to fix it, then I can look at legislation on how to fix it, because I'm tired of my community getting the short end of the stick. And we did see something come from that. And I think it's really important when we look at what we were trying to do with this pilot project on the inline, that we're not only looking at equity for the North, we want equity for the system as a whole. We just have to pilot it somewhere.
So you were specifically thinking about legislation that would have dealt with fare equity. Okay. Where do you think the issue is with RTD? Is it the elected board? Is it the unelected leadership that runs the agency but reports to them? What do you think?
I think that, you know, the interactions that I had with the director of my district have been amazing since I became a state legislator. And so I want to give them that opportunity to succeed. But the more I worked with it, the issues that I was seeing is just a complete lack of accountability for that executive leadership. When you look at the leadership that they've had at RTD, none of their lines are coming in on time or under budget. And that's completely unacceptable. This is a big organization that serves a lot of people, and taxpayers are paying for these things, and you're not delivering the products that they're paying for. And that's the issue that I really have, and the issue that my community has.
If there is discussion at the Capitol about the idea of shifting RTD to an appointed board instead of an elected board, would that fix it?
You know, I'm not quite sure if it would fix it. You know, I think that it's a conversation that we have to have. And I think that it goes back to that accountability piece, Kyle, is that how is this accountability happening? You know, how are we going to make sure that the miscues and the things that have gone wrong don't happen again? How are we learning from our mistakes, and how are we making sure that our communities are getting what they're paying for and getting the services that they need? And that's really what I'm looking at. And I think that we have to look at a variety of options for that. I just know from my personal experience so far working with RTD, I just want to see some more accountability for that executive leadership.
The last time you were on this program having a conversation with me, we were talking about your idea last session to tighten up vaccine exemptions, to encourage more parents to vaccinate their kids. And you walked into a buzzsaw of anti-vaxxers and Democratic Governor Jared Polis, who was largely sympathetic to their concerns. Yeah. What did you learn from that?
You know, I think that what I learned is that I signed up to represent my community and to fight for my community and fight for what I believe in. When I ran, I told the people that that voted for me and my constituents that I was going to do everything I could to make sure that their community was safer. And when I got down to the Capitol and I learned that Colorado was last in the entire country for our immunization rates, that I thought I was flabbergasted. I said, how the heck how is this happening? And I'm a nurse, you know, and I'm a dad. And it scared me. It scared me because I knew what could happen, and I know that people can be harmed if we have an outbreak. And that's all I really want to stop, is I don't want to see anyone get hurt. I don't want to see anyone die because we're not doing something that's completely preventable. And so that's what we did, is we looked at it. We said, how do we move the needle? How do we try to make sure that we improve our immunization rates? The thing that's scary for me even more is over the interim, we actually got worse. Our immunization rates went down. And so we're obviously moving in the wrong direction. And how do we fix this? How do we make sure that we're not at risk for an outbreak? How do we make sure that we're not at risk for kids getting hurt? And that's what I really want to try to focus on.
Do you think you might bring a bill again this next legislative session on vaccines?
You know, I think that we have to look at something. I mean, we got worse. You know, we were looking at trying to do something during the last session, and obviously being last in the country is bad enough, but then when you continue going in the wrong direction, that's just unacceptable. That's unacceptable, and we need to be better than that.
So the way that these legislative sessions tend to work for the folks who are not intimately aware of it is the first year, right after the election, that's when you do all the spicy stuff. That's when you do the bills that bring all the boys to the yard, you know, like your vaccine bill. And then the next year, everything's all peace, love, and roses as everybody campaigns for re-election, so you bring bills about, you know, puppies and trees and things like that. Is there any pressure on you not to do a vaccine bill, because you know that's going to fire people up and it's going to bring people to the Capitol?
Yeah. You know, it's a controversial topic. We saw it last year. We were at the Capitol several times till 4 in the morning. We had to come in on the weekends. You know, but when I talk to my constituents and I talk to my colleagues, I didn't go down to the Capitol to sit on my hands. I went down there to accomplish things and to make sure that, like I said, we were creating a safer community. And if that means that we have to tackle difficult issues, then that's the job that we signed up for. And would I have liked to be home having dinner with my family? I would have loved to. But this is the job that I signed up for, and it's a job that I'm going to do.
All right, RTD and vaccines, first time we've ever combined those two topics in one interview. Kyle Mullica, thanks for your time.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Subscribe to the Next YouTube channel for the best of Next and some other stuff.